Whoa, yeah, this was a big journey. It was 43 pieces of transport that needed to go right. If one thing went wrong, it could have a domino effect and then it could all go crashing down. We used a technology called Travelport Plus. They're a global technology company in the travel industry called Travelport. So this piece of technology helped navigate me through 43 forms of transport. I also had a travel agent working behind the scenes because for someone like me, this would be too mind-boggling to do by myself. Yeah, well, this isn't my first rodeo. I've ran across Canada, ran across America. I've broken other world records sitting on a stationary bike for 12 days, running on a treadmill for 7 days. So I love adventure and I love, the journey of every adventure that I do. But I'm always a little bit let down at the end of an adventure, right? You're always trying to finish and kind of get to the ending point. But this journey with the 7 wonders being spread out through 7 days, it completely flipped that kind of philosophy that I had on its head. I always kind of work on it's all about the journey. And with this one, it just felt like every time I got to a wonder, to a destination, it just blew my mind through beauty and the fact that it's so historical. And so every single wonder was magical. And it felt like this world record was all about the destination and was all about getting to the wonder. It was a short trip. I wouldn't recommend visiting 7 wonders in 7 days. I probably only had about 12 hours of sleep in the space of 7 days, so it was really sleep deprived. I didn't manage to get to try too much local food. It was just aeroplane food. I was on economy flights all the way. But I did have about an hour at every wonder. And was it enough? I think it was, right? I think, you get there to see the wonder. I soaked it up, every single one. And even, the Taj Mahal, it brought tears to my eyes. And then, you move on. I think what I would like to do is go back to these countries, especially India. It was just the most stimulating, interesting, fascinating country that I've ever been to. So I'd like to take my kids back to India just to explore the country and to see the Taj Mahal again. Oh, yeah. I mean, at one point, I was waiting by a train and waiting for the train to arrive. And suddenly this monkey come running out of nowhere and then grabbed this woman's handbag and stole her handbag and went back to his monkey friends. And then they all started pulling stuff out of the bag. At the time, I was so sleep deprived, and I was looking, I'm thinking, am I seeing right now? And this older lady, you could see she wanted her bag back, and she was weighing up whether to get some courage to get it back. So she grabbed a stick, and she went up and started swatting at the monkeys to get her bag back. And honestly, I just thought, like, what is going on? Am I completely delusional? Or am I seeing right? Yeah, I just felt like for me, India, there was just so many things to look at, so many smells to take, so many different types of food to eat, for me, it's just a place that I have to go back. I have to go back to India and explore more. So I spent most of my life in hospital as a kid. So I used to have a rare spinal condition where sometimes I couldn't move my legs. But luckily, thanks to the hospital where I live, they got me healthy and well at 9 years old, and I started to move. So yeah, I'm just really lucky. So 10 years ago, I set up a charity called Super Foundation to try and give back and give the support to other kids that are sick too. And yeah, I mean that's my mission there. That's every time I do adventures, it needs to be very meaningful. And so this adventure was exactly that, because at the end of the journey, Travelport donated $1 for every mile traveled. So that meant over $22,000 was donated to a little boy called Archie, who's got cerebral palsy, got pain in his legs. and he struggles to walk, but there's treatment that he can keep taking with those donations, that $22,000, and to keep him walking for the rest of his life. I think because I was a kid and I was really sick, I don't think I could quite comprehend, where I was at in life. But I do remember the doctor explaining that, I was going to end up in a wheelchair. And when we left there, that hospital, I remember my mum looking at me and saying, "Don't you dare listen to a word of that. You're not going to end up in a wheelchair." And then when she got home, she put this piece of string in the back garden and she said, "Come on, Jimmy, let's play tennis. Do you want to play?" And I remember feeling like, "Not really, Mum." But I went out there and I started cracking the ball and I got this love for movement. So I think so much help from the doctors and nurses and my parents' support and the movement, that I just got very lucky that my symptoms gradually disappeared and I got healthy. Yeah, I guess when I took on my very first adventure cycling from Bangkok, Thailand, back to England, in Gloucester, back to the hospital, was 14,000 miles. I had no idea what I was doing. And I think at that time when I was, 23 years old, I had this thirst for adventure and this real thirst for life and experiences. But I think when I started that very first adventure, I think it was when I started to pedal through China that things got really challenging. There was a struggle to get food. There was no people in the desert. There was mountains that I needed to climb that I didn't know if I could make it over the top because snow blizzards was hitting. And in those moments, I remember feeling like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? So I think the adventure is this amazing part and traveling, but for me, I need that more meaningful motivation to get me through. So I've kind of dedicated my life now to giving back to other sick kids, to give sick kids what was given to me, which is health and movement and life. Oh, good question. What would I advise on somebody to, travel on a wanderlust? I think just go with your feeling. When you've got an itch to scratch, if that keeps coming up, if there's an emotion there where you go, "Oh, I really want to go and see this country, or I want to see one of the 7 wonders," don't think too hard on it. Just go, right? The hardest part in traveling or taking on an adventure is to start. And once you start, then you find your own motivations to keep going and whatever that is for you, but getting to the start line and starting to travel, and you never regret it. And the worst thing that can happen if the adventure or traveling experience doesn't work out is you go back home, but there's something to even learn from that. So just start traveling, start adventuring, and don't think about it too much.